That the Peace Cross is able to stay. And so I'm happy this afternoon, or this morning, to be able to stand here in front of the court with our president, Kelly Shackelford, who has been advocating for this day for about 15 years now. And we're glad to have that. Kelly's going to talk to you in a moment. Kelly's name is Kelly, K-E-L-L-Y, Shackelford, S-H-A-C-K-E-L-F-O-R-D. I got that right, Kelly?
You got it.
You got to spell it right in front of the boss. My name is D-Y-S on the end of it, Jeremy D-Y-S Dys. And then we'll have a member of the American Legion join you in a moment just to give you a few words as well, answer your questions, and we'll move on from our day. So without any further ado, Kelly, tell us about today.
Look, this is a great victory for not only the American Legion and our veterans, but really this is a landmark decision on religious liberty. All of these illegitimate uses of the Establishment Clause to attack our religious monuments, heritage, memorials is over. And that's the way it should be. The founders would have been appalled that the Constitution was being used to try to strike down any parts of our history or heritage or monuments that had religious symbols or religious imagery. And the court made clear today that that's no longer going to happen. There are specific phrases by a majority of the court that talks about the fact that long-standing memorials, monuments, and practices are presumptively constitutional, and that the lemon test no longer applies. That is a huge change, 50 years of precedent, that now all of the confusion, the government hostility to religion, all that's going to change, and I think that's a really good thing for our country. It's a great thing for our veterans and our veterans memorials across the country. This is a landmark decision on religious liberty, and I think it's going to have a great effect for our country. So let me have
so look, we should also say that Mike Carvin sends his greetings. Mike argued this case from Jones Day. We're so grateful for the partnership with Jones Day for, 6 or 7 years working on this case together. He's unfortunately out of town and couldn't be here today for this decision. But let me bring up Mike Moore, who is a member of the local American Legion here. It was the local chapter of the American Legion that picked up the banner to raise this cross when the mothers came up with the idea back in 1919. These men worked to establish this memorial and dedicated it in 1925. And so it is now standing for 90 some odd years. And because of the decision today, the work that those men did so many years ago, and the work that Mike Moore has done along with all these other members of the Legion behind me, it will stay for another 100 years and into the future to remember those men who fought and died for our freedom. So Mike, come and give us a few words.
Thank you very much. The Legion is just gratified at the decision. We're very, very happy that the memory of sacrifice and service of those 49 members of the service from Prince George's County will not be destroyed. So we couldn't be more pleased with the outcome. I can't thank our partners here who have done a spectacular job in representing us enough. They've done a great job. So thank you all for having me.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, so from here on out, I'm going to turn it over to Kelly for any questions.
Yeah, and it's kind of a big differential, because if they had ruled the wrong way here, not only would they begin tearing down the Bladensburg cross, but Arlington Cemetery is just a couple of miles away. They would have to go into Arlington where the large freestanding cross is there. So we could have been talking about a situation where a religious cleansing would begin of our monuments and memorials across the country. Instead, we not only have a decision here that protects this memorial, that makes clear also that these attacks are over against these memorials across the country by using Lemon and the Establishment Clause in an illegitimate way to attack our history and our heritage in this country. So it's a pretty big difference in the decision, and so we're very pleased with what happened. I'm happy to answer questions. Yes.
Kelly, I want to ask you about the dissent authored by Justice Ginsburg, joined by Justice Sotomayor. She said, by maintaining the Peace Cross on a public highway, so people who've seen this, they know that big intersection there, the Commission elevates Christianity over other faiths and religion over non-religion. It says it's a symbol that doesn't have a sectarian message. It's a religious message. Yeah,
every religious symbol is sectarian. I mean, that's the thing. If people wanted to put up a Star of David in Pittsburgh to honor those who were murdered in that synagogue, that's a sectarian symbol. But it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with putting up that symbol. We are a country that has a religious heritage and history, so you're going to see monuments that are secular and those that are religious. What we don't do is sort of have a religious KGB that sniffs out all the religious monuments and tears them down. And that's what the court was saying today, that it's fine to have secular and religious monuments and memorials across our country.
I just had a question. I was talking to Mr. Moore earlier. Sir, you said your grandfather was wounded in World War I. I mean, he's not one of them mentioned on the actual cross,
No.
but talk to me about what that means personally for you. I mean, this is, as Justice Alito said, this represents people that did not come back home. So in a way, it is a memorial.
Well, but back in 1960, we had just moved into Prince George's County. My father took me by the cross, and he said, "Your grandfather was also combat wounded in World War I and spent the rest of his life in a VA hospital. This is what the people of this county think of service to their country, and you should always respect this cross." So it had a personal meaning to me.
How do you feel today to win and to know that that memorial to those men is going to stand?
I feel vindicated. We're just gratified, so thankful that we don't let people just walk by and say, "Aha, I think I found a violation of the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment." I think with Kelly's help, we've really set the story straight on this. So we're thrilled. Thank you.
One of the things that I love about this is the American Legion and the heroes that they are for their fighting overseas. But here they've led a battle in our own country to preserve our Constitution and our freedoms. So these guys just never stop. They're always fighting. And so anyway, it's a great day for them, for really our memorials across the country, our veterans. But as I said, this is really much broader than that. For those of you who don't know, for 50 years, this lemon test has resulted in a lot of confusion, attacks. This is why you see, attacks on, veterans memorials, menorahs, nativity scenes, you name it. This is the reason is this lemon test, and they have now said we're not going to use that in this context anymore. It's not helpful. And we're going to start out with a presumption of constitutionality in these monuments and memorials and symbols across our country and practices that are long-standing. And I think that's a great thing. It'll stop a lot of these attacks on our veterans memorials, but on really memorials and things all across our country. So it's a big switch for what's been happening for the past 50 years.
How much do you think that the last election and the appointment of these two justices, although it was a 7-2 decision, how much do you think that influences decisions like this?
Well, it's certainly crucial to have great justices on the Supreme Court, and I think what we've got now is we're getting more and more justices who really feel like they need to follow what the Constitution says. This is the problem with Lemon and some of these cases is they were following what judges said. But I think we have more justices now that they want to look to what did the founders say? What does the Constitution say? What were they trying to do? And that's why I think we start seeing some of these changes, is because they're going back to the Constitution, back to the original meaning of the text, and I think that gets us back to who we are as a nation and as a country. Any other questions or anything? We're happy to answer. If not,
All right. Very good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.